Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and this video. I'm Nicolo and this is my new Multistrada V4 RS, a German motorcycle. And no, I'm not crazy. I know Ducati is Italian, so it's an Italian motorcycle, but I bought it in Germany. And since under the comments on that video and in the DMs on my Instagram page, FrecciaVerde19, you've asked me for a guide. Here I am today to explain to you how to import a two-wheel vehicle into Italy, specifically with the costs related to Rome, by purchasing it from a private individual and registering it to you, who are also a private individual. The idea, in fact, with this video is to explain to you all the phases of the nationalization process, the necessary documents, the mistakes to avoid, and above all, the real costs involved in the operation. All of this while installing the first accessories that have arrived for the RS. Many of you, myself included, look at other countries like Germany. Precisely because often you find vehicles that are better maintained, with slightly more refined setups and more competitive prices. But the question remains the same. How much of a hassle will the bureaucracy be to import that vehicle? Even though in our case the most correct and accurate word to use would be nationalization. Since the vehicle comes from the European Union, like Germany, Austria or France, the import process always follows the same procedure. The first fundamental thing to check is the value-added tax. A vehicle coming from another country, even if it's from the European Union, is considered used and therefore exempt from paying value-added tax in Italy. Only if it meets one of two conditions: more than 6 months since the first registration or more than 6,000 kilometers. In my case, the motorcycle met both conditions, and in fact, after the checks carried out by the revenue agency, I was given the clearance and I didn't have to pay anything. But if, for example, your motorcycle is less than 6 months from its first registration, but if it's close to 6,000 kilometers, a first little trick I can give you is to ask the owner to go over the 6,000 kilometer mark. This way, you will have automatically solved the problem legally and you won't have to pay value-added tax even though the motorcycle is less than 6 months old. And this is something you absolutely need to pay attention to. Because paying value-added tax once you're back in Italy, guys, takes away all the advantages of buying abroad. Most of the time. Having cleared up the first issue, let's say you found a motorcycle, are you ready to buy it? Let's take a look. The necessary documents for a private sale, the first and most important one is the sales contract. In fact, in Germany specifically, there's no need to go to any motor vehicle office or agency for this. All you need is a bilingual Italian-German sales contract with all the details of the seller, the buyer, and the motorcycle signed by both parties. Clearly, you'll need more than just the sales contract. The other documents are as follows: the registration certificate, also known as TAIL1, the vehicle ownership certificate, TAIL2, and the deregistration certificate. The certificate of conformity, which is the certificate of conformity issued directly by the manufacturer and provided to the German owner at the time of purchase. Usually, it is common practice there for the seller to already have it. And lastly, a photocopy of the seller's documents is provided below in the description. Guys, hoping this is helpful. I'm leaving you the link to directly download the bilingual Italian-German sales contract that I used when purchasing the RS. If you want to change something, it's your choice. Just know that my process is finished. The motorcycle is registered in Italy and everything went smoothly with that copy. It's your call. Just a quick note about the revenue agency. Guys, as absurd as it may seem, they might even ask you how you brought the motorcycle from abroad into Italy. So, if, like in my case, you go to the seller to buy the motorcycle with your van, then load it up and come back to Italy. Make sure you keep all the toll receipts because they want proof of how the motorcycle actually arrived in Italy. Once you arrive in Italy, this is where everyone makes mistakes. With the original documents in your possession, guys, make 4 photocopies of everything. This will save you any kind of trouble at the revenue agency, Department of Motor Vehicles, or Public Registry of Automobiles office. The first step, however, unlike what ChatGPT or websites might say, is not the revenue agency. In fact, it's not about going there to have your contract validated and requesting the frame to be unlocked, but rather going to the Department of Motor Vehicles to request the registration. And be careful, you need to request the registration and not start the nationalization process if it's not possible for you. Or if on the other side of the counter there's an employee who tells you that the registration is no longer done and that you have to go straight to nationalization. You can try to proceed, but there will be a risk for everyone involved. The original documents go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and then the revenue agency asks you to get the original documents back, which means they might give you a hard time, waste your time, and you'll have to go back to the Department of Motor Vehicles and reschedule an appointment at the revenue agency. Why am I telling you this? Because exactly what I just told you happened to me. In fact, I first went to the revenue agency asking them to validate the contract. And in any case, to check that everything related to value-added tax was in order at the revenue agency. I found out that to sit in front of the official, you don't need to make an appointment. An appointment that you can make through the app, which you can easily download on your phone. Here's another tip about Rome, though I think it applies to all revenue agency offices. To book the appointment right away and not wait for months. There's a little trick that a revenue agency official explained to me, whom I thank. Basically, if you go to get a ticket for your case, meaning document delivery inside the application, it will give you the first available date for that office. In my case, it was a month later. This basically means losing a month with the motorcycle stuck in the garage, unable to do anything. How do you avoid waiting a month? You need to set an alarm, and I'm not joking. At 5:55 in the morning, wait 5 minutes, and at 6:01, 6:02, the systems open tickets for the day. So with this trick, I can guarantee you'll save a lot of time. So let's say we went without any problems. At the Department of Motor Vehicles, be careful, the days you can go are only in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Once you've gone to the Department of Motor Vehicles and completed the registration or started the nationalization process, then you'll need to make an appointment at the revenue agency. Go there and submit the request to unlock the chassis number. Wait, you will receive a message, an email, or a call from the revenue agency where you went, informing you of the outcome. If you followed the previous steps, you should have had a positive outcome. So, at that point, you will need to go again to the Department of Motor Vehicles, where together with the official at the counter, we will proceed with the application. To arrive at the counter prepared, you will need to pay for application number 05 specific for motorcycles on the driver's portal. The application in question cost me about 60 euros and includes fees and stamps. Once the process is completed at the motor vehicle office, they will issue you a provisional registration certificate. This document is not the actual final registration certificate, which will be printed and given to you in the next step. But it is a document that serves to link the license plate, which is already ready but will not be given to you at the motor vehicle office, to a registration certificate. The certificate will be given to you at the Public Registry of Automobiles office, for which you will obviously need to make an appointment. To make an appointment to go to the Public Registry of Automobiles, all you need to do is visit their website. Here, unfortunately, guys, I don't have any tricks, so the timing the website gives you is what you have to follow. Anyway, I got the appointment pretty quickly. It didn't take too long. In fact, within about a week and a half, I was able to go to the Public Registry of Automobiles. Guys, this is the second to last step. You'll go to the Public Registry of Automobiles. Make sure you do it. It's essential to always bring with you for all these steps the photocopies I had you make at the beginning. By this point, theoretically, there should be a lot fewer of them, because you should have already handed them out to the various offices. You pay the last 60 euros or so in total that's about 120 euros. You will finally be issued the permanent registration certificate for your motorcycle. Make sure that all the information inside is correct. After that, with that permanent registration certificate, you can go back to the motor vehicle office where you went last time. They will give you the license plate, and that's it. So now we have both the license plate and the registration certificate for our motorcycle. You could say, expenses are done. I activate insurance and enjoy my new purchase. No, because we're forgetting that in Italy you must pay road tax, which depends on the region. Then the amounts change for the first year. In my case, guys, I'll be paying from December to September, and then for all the following years, as they explained to me at the Public Registry of Automobiles. It will be the classic one from September to August. That said, I hope I was able to help you. It was harder to explain it to you than to actually do it. A sincere piece of advice before I say goodbye. I was able to handle this whole process from A to Z on my own without relying on agencies that at the time asked me for around 650, 680 euros, so I ended up saving quite a bit of money. Only because I was able to dedicate the right amount of time to follow the whole process. So if your employee is working from morning until evening, I think this thing is impossible for you. You need too many permissions, must visit several offices repeatedly in the morning, and have to follow each office's available appointment times. In short, it becomes a crazy process that will probably save you money, but it might also make you lose your job. I think if instead you are maybe freelancers, or in any case you can dedicate time to this process, there are definitely savings and I recommend it. That said, guys, all that's left for me to do is say goodbye. If you have any other questions, write to me below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer you. Then leave a nice like and subscribe to the channel if you found the video useful. I'll see you in the next one. From Green Arrow, Nicolo, that's all. Stay safe and keep the throttle open. Bye, guys.